The 2026 World Cup is expected to be the biggest and most modern World Cup in history, but less than 20 days after the tournament began, a major controversy suddenly erupted. After an important match for the Iran national team, Captain Mehdi Taremi publicly criticized FIFA in front of the international media, saying that his team had been forced to play under unfair conditions. He even described what Iran was going through as a World Cup disaster. So what made a normally reserved captain decide to speak out so strongly? Was this merely a reaction after a disappointing result, or a sign that FIFA is facing a bigger crisis at the 2026 World Cup? Let us take a closer look. To understand why Taremi's comments caused such a stir, it is important to first look at the situation facing the Iran national team at that moment. They entered their final group stage match under enormous pressure. Only a victory over Egypt would guarantee Iran a place in the knockout stage, while any other result would leave their fate dependent on the outcomes in the remaining groups. The match unfolded exactly as many fans had feared. Egypt opened the scoring after quickly capitalizing on an opportunity inside the penalty area. Iran fought back and found an equalizer to bring the game back to level terms. However, the West Asian side also squandered several crucial chances. Taremi failed to beat the Egyptian goalkeeper from the penalty spot, and a goal deep into stoppage time was later ruled out by VAR for a very marginal offside. The final whistle confirmed a 1-1 draw. Iran lost control of their own destiny and were forced to wait for the results from the other groups to find out whether they would advance. But as it turned out, that was only the beginning of a story that would become far more controversial. Normally, after a decisive match, players focus on talking about their performance on the pitch, the chances they failed to convert, or their hopes for the next round. This time, however, Mehdi Taremi barely spoke about the football itself. Instead, he directed all of the attention toward the difficulties the Iran national team had faced throughout their World Cup campaign. Speaking in front of a large group of reporters, Taremi openly stated that the team had been raising concerns about logistical problems since the very first days of the tournament. According to him, FIFA was fully aware of these difficulties and had promised to find solutions. However, with the group stage drawing to a close, almost nothing had changed. It was a World Cup disaster, Taremi said, adding that the Iran national team's complaints had repeatedly been met with silence. Even more notably, Taremi revealed that FIFA President Gianni Infantino had personally visited Iran's dressing room after their opening match to encourage the team. According to the Iran captain, Infantino told the players that the tournament was only just beginning and that the issues would soon be addressed. Yet, when looking back on the entire group stage campaign, Taremi believed those promises had not resulted in any meaningful improvements, allowing the team's frustration to build until it finally erupted in front of the international media. Taremi's comments did not simply come from post-match emotion, but also reflected a series of problems that had been simmering since before the World Cup began. According to the Iran captain, the difficulties his team faced were not issues that happened in a single day, but a chain of obstacles that stretched across the entire process of preparation and competition. One of the biggest problems was the team's base camp. Initially, Iran had planned to set up their headquarters in the U.S. state of Arizona. However, due to developments related to security and political conditions, that plan had to be changed at the last minute. The team was forced to move its entire training base to the city of Tijuana in Mexico, separated from the match venues in the United States by an international border. That meant that after almost every match played on U.S. soil, the Iranian players had to return to Mexico instead of staying near the stadium like most other teams. The process of traveling, document checks, and arranging schedules consumed additional time and energy, significantly reducing their recovery window. According to Taremi, in a tournament with such a demanding match schedule as the World Cup, these seemingly small disadvantages could create a major difference in fitness, preparation, and the competitive capacity of an entire team. But the constant travel was only part of what the Iran national team believed they had been forced to endure. During the press conference, Taremi went on to list a series of logistical problems that, according to him, had directly affected the team's performance throughout the tournament. According to the Iran captain, several key members of the support staff were unable to travel with the team because of visa complications. As a result, Iran was left short-staffed in several departments that are considered essential for any team competing at the World Cup. From the logistics team and equipment managers to the media department and several specialist support personnel, every area was affected to varying degrees. Taremi raised a frustrated question. "Where is our logistics team? Where is our media department? You can check for yourselves, they are not here." To many fans, these issues may not seem especially serious. However, at the highest level of professional football, every national team relies on an entire operational system involving dozens of people behind the scenes. Players need far more than coaches and doctors. They also depend on staff who prepare equipment, analyze opponents, oversee physical recovery, handle media responsibilities, and coordinate travel schedules. If even one part of that system is missing, the entire preparation process can be affected. According to Taremi, what disappointed him the most was not that these difficulties existed, but that the Iran national team had repeatedly raised the issues throughout the tournament without seeing any meaningful improvements. It was the feeling of speaking up again and again without receiving effective solutions that caused the players' frustration to keep growing. After the draw against Egypt, all of that pent-up emotion finally erupted into public criticism directed at FIFA, turning what had been a behind-the-scenes issue into a major story for the international media. Taremi's comments quickly spread far beyond the scope of a post-match press conference. Within a short period of time, numerous international media outlets reported the story, as this was one of the rare occasions when a World Cup captain publicly criticized FIFA's organization while the tournament was still in progress. What made the story even more significant was that Taremi did not simply express his disappointment, he repeatedly questioned who should be held accountable. According to him, if these problems had been reported since the beginning of the tournament but still remained unresolved, then who was ultimately responsible? Was it FIFA as the tournament organizer, or the host nations with their entry regulations and logistical procedures? That question expanded the debate from an issue affecting only the Iran national team into a much broader discussion about the fairness of the 2026 World Cup. This is also the first World Cup to be hosted across 3 countries, with an expanded field of 48 teams, meaning that the scale of coordination, travel, and logistics is far more complex than at any previous edition of the tournament. As a result, many observers believe that what Iran experienced could be the first real test of FIFA's new hosting model. And if these issues are not addressed satisfactorily, they could continue to affect other national teams in the knockout rounds and even at major tournaments in the years ahead. Although Taremi's comments sparked a powerful wave of debate, he also emphasized that his purpose was not to look for excuses for the result on the pitch. The Iran captain admitted that he had to take responsibility for the missed penalty and insisted that the entire team had given everything they had throughout the 90 minutes. According to him, the players always tried to bring joy to Iranian fans, despite the difficulties taking place behind the scenes. From another perspective, head coach Amir Galenaway also spoke after the match. However, he took a more measured approach. The coach said he believed FIFA President Gianni Infantino had shown goodwill and had tried to support the Iran national team within his capacity. According to him, many of the obstacles Iran faced were more closely related to the organization process and procedures in the host country, rather than coming entirely from FIFA. By the time these comments had spread widely, FIFA had still not issued an official response to the accusations related to logistics and visa problems raised by the Iran national team. That only made the public continue waiting to see how world football's governing body would explain one of the biggest controversies of the 2026 World Cup so far. While the controversy showed no sign of ending, the Iran national team was forced to face another equally tense reality. After the draw against Egypt, they no longer controlled their own destiny in the race for a place in the knockout stage. Iran's fate now depended on the results in the remaining groups and on whether they could qualify as one of the best third-place teams. However, regardless of whether Iran advances or is eliminated, Taremi's comments have created an issue that FIFA can hardly afford to ignore. If the complaints regarding visas, logistics, and playing conditions are confirmed to have merit, they could become an important lesson for FIFA in organizing multinational tournaments in the future. On the other hand, if the organizers provide a convincing explanation, the controversy may gradually fade. Whatever the final outcome may be, this story has gone far beyond the boundaries of a single football match. It has opened a broader debate about fairness, transparency, and FIFA's ability to organize the biggest World Cup in history. Currently, it is still far too early to say who is right and who is wrong in this story. Most of what the public knows comes from statements made by members of the Iran national team, while FIFA has yet to issue an official response to the concerns they have raised. However, one thing is difficult to deny. Mehdi Taremi's criticism has sparked serious questions about the organization of the 2026 World Cup, especially as this is the first edition of the tournament to feature 48 teams and to be jointly hosted by 3 countries. For Iran, their World Cup journey may not be over if the remaining results unfold in their favor. But whether they advance or are eliminated, the Iran captain's comments will almost certainly be remembered as one of the most controversial moments of this year's tournament. What do you think about this situation? Do you believe what Mehdi Taremi shared reflects genuine shortcomings in FIFA's organization, or are these simply unavoidable challenges in a World Cup unlike any before it? Share your opinion in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth analysis and the latest stories from the 2026 World Cup